are live. Let's just wait for a couple of people to get on before we start. So if you're watching this afterwards, this is why we're always waiting a little bit in the beginning. But let's just give it a minute for a couple of people to join, and then we'll get going. Okay, we have a couple of people on. So welcome back to TreeTopChat episode 24. You're probably wondering who the hell is this guy, and sometimes I'm wondering that too, who the hell am I? But as you may know, Anders has been going through, or has gone through surgery. It went well, but he's just in recovery mode now, so that's why I'm stepping in to do the TreeTopChat this June. Yeah, this is why I'm stepping in to do the TreeTopChat this week. So we'll be, sticking to the usual format, just speaking to our guests, which I'll bring on in a minute, and just doing it as usual. I got the classic shirt, I got the classic hat, the glass of water, the smile. We're all good to go. So, welcome everyone. Today we'll be speaking to Jon Faulkner, who's also called or known as Arborgeddon or Frogsy on Instagram. And Jon is an arborist from the UK who now works in Sweden. Just let me add him here. Australia, and he's also an avid photographer. So we'll be speaking a bit about his experiences and tips and his hobbies and all that. So without further ado, I can see that Jon is on. Welcome, Jon. How you doing?
Good. Thank you. Yes, good.
Sweet. Yeah, as you saw in the beginning, this is a bit of a different format. Anders has gone through surgery, so that's why I'm hosting this today.
Yeah.
How you doing?
Yeah, good. Yeah, I've had a good day. I'm on my way back to Sweden slowly but surely. I'm actually in Germany at the moment, just catching up with an old friend of mine who I used to work with back in London. We've both sort of been working around, different countries for years, and so it's just nice to kind of, tee up again, see some old faces, and just sort of catch up. And yeah, it's really cool.
For sure. Yeah, I get the feeling you're kind of like the Mr. Worldwide of the arborist industry. You've been all over the place, no?
Oh no, not really. I mean, I've sort of it's only really in the last couple of years that my skill set and my sort of connections have enabled me to travel, to some countries. There's loads and loads of other places that I'm dying to get to. Obviously, at the moment with the coronavirus and stuff, it's pretty tough. So I'm kind of floating around and trying not to get too tied down, and sort of trying to just get better and learn, and
For sure. Yeah, that's a good mindset to have in all parts of life, I guess. You can always keep on learning, always more places, always more things to explore.
Yeah.
Sweet. Yeah. But so we have a couple of talking points here that we wanted to get through today.
Yeah.
So we're gonna start with the first one, which is quite interesting, I think, and I'm really dying to know the answer to this one. But your bio says committing I don't know how to pronounce that, but arboreal crimes since 1990.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about, that quote, why you put that in your bio, and also about how you got into the arborist industry and what that journey looked like for you.
Yeah, okay, all right. So one day I just decided to change my name to Arborgeddon. I've got no idea why, and I couldn't believe actually that no one had that as a username, so I was like, well, why not? But basically, like if you scroll through my Instagram, like, and anyone that knows me, they know that, sometimes I won't have a high vis on. I've got like a visor on my pencil screen, on my helmet, and I don't put it down sometimes. And some people, they kind of call me out on it. They're like, hey, like, you're not wearing your high vis and stuff. And it's all like a bit serious. And, like I'm just a young lad, really deep down. So I kind of, those arboreal crimes are kind of, when maybe I'm looking the other way, which I absolutely shouldn't be, because it's a deadly serious thing. And I want to talk more about that later. But it's just, I guess, in a nutshell, to remind people that I don't take myself too seriously. And it's just like a sort of bit of fun, really, more than anything. So that's...
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, I mean, it's a very catchy thing to put on your bio. I saw that on your Instagram bio. So I gotta explore who the hell this guy is, the international arborist criminal.
Yeah.
But how did you end up, becoming an arborist? What did that journey look like for you? And why did you decide to, join the tree care industry out out of all the possibilities which you had?
Well, I was working like on the weekends with this dude out in the forest, and I just moved wood around. That's all I did by hand. And then he gave me a pair of chainsaw trousers and some boots and a hat, and he showed me how to make some cuts and look after a saw. And I sort of did that for a couple of years when I was like 14, 15. And I left school and I went to college to study geography and geology and a couple of other things. And I didn't really get on with the course. So I was working one weekend and I was telling my boss at the time, who I actually ended up working for a couple of weeks ago, which was just amazing. First time in like 30 years. And anyway, he said, "Oh, why don't you go and study to be a climbing lumberjack or like a forester?" And so I did. And I went and I studied for a couple of years in the southeast of England. And I've honestly, I've never looked back. I absolutely love the job, being outdoors, being taxed, always having to try and apply yourself, and like learning stuff all the time, every single day. Like and teaching stuff, and just it's just great. It's just absolutely, it's the best job in the world. It is.
Yeah, for sure. And everyone that we've had on this chat says the exact same thing. I've never heard anyone say, "I became an arborist, but now I'm looking back, kind of regretting my decision." Never heard it before.
Yeah. So there you go. Yeah.
Yeah. But and also then this, obviously, this whole kind of that you stumbled upon has brought you to a lot of places. And most recently, you were in Australia, right? Before coming to Sweden.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about that whole experience and what you were doing in Australia and what that was like.
So the whole reason why I wanted to go there was just to further my experience in the industry, and that was pretty much it. So me and my partner at the time, we just booked some tickets, and I was real keen to get out there. So I've not actually been to that many countries before, so I was really keen to go there, and I spoke to a guy. I just literally, I looked on my iPhone. It's great. These smartphones that you have nowadays, it can tell you what the time is in all these different countries. So you're not going to wake someone up at 3 a.m. Anyway, I called him up. He said, "Get out of here and get stuck in." So I did. And I climbed the biggest trees I've ever climbed, worked with some amazing people, really opened my eyes up to like the dangers in the job and like the vectors that are at force out there with the big stuff, and working in a different climate and a different culture and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, that's the reason why I went. It was an incredible experience. So, everything about it, like the competition and seeing old friends, and and then sort of doing all this amazing stuff, and then obviously the bushfires were sort of raging, and I sort of did a little bit of work there, or voluntary work, which a lot of sort of people that actually donated their hard-earned cash, to sort of help us get out there and help people, and that was an unforgettable experience, and something that I
Yeah, for sure. It sounds amazing. And you hear a lot of good things about Australia in general, but the one I was gonna ask you about, what's the kind of like, working in that climate with all these, hear about all these animals, the spiders that can kill you out of nowhere. Is that something which you kind of have to consider when you're an arborist, or is that just which you hear?
Yeah, so like, I mean, they're there, like I rescued a snake, like I was climbing trees and there's spiders crawling on me, and like I remember going surfing one morning and there were sharks in the water, and so there are dangers there. But in my opinion, the biggest danger is the fact that the trees are so big, and that sort of risk, associated with that. So, but no, not really. I think it's just basically a bit of scaremongering. It's not that bad, but the heat, that's definitely high up on the list. It's chainsaw trousers, boots, ear defenders, like you get so hot, so you got to drink a lot of electrolytes, make sure you're checking your guys all the time, if you had a break, because you're miles away up in the tree, you can't really see what they're doing, and so it's important to just sort of take breaks and work safe, and so
I can imagine. There are those temperature and environment aspects too to
it's crazy.
Think about.
42 degrees Celsius out there one day. It was just mad.
Yeah, that's mad. You don't really get that here, do you, in Sweden?
No, it's no. The coldest I worked in, I think, was -18 in Uppsala. I think a couple of years ago.
Oh, gee. Okay.
Yeah, that was that was a cold. Yeah, me and my friend were doing these habitat prunes. It's good, nice, but cold. Yeah.
So it was minus 18 casually. You were like, I'm still here. I'll still get the job done.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, no biggie.
Just
But okay, if we're gonna take Sweden, and which is a bit of a contrast to Australia, what brought you to Sweden in the first place? Because you're obviously from the UK to begin with.
Yeah, so I don't honestly, I don't really know, because like the guy that taught me everything I know now, his name's Guy Litchfield, and his late brother Degeray started a company up down south in Sweden, and he always used his brother's sort of maps and surveys that Degeray would created and use around sort of Gothenburg, Göteborg, and Malmö and stuff, and we'd learned from those, so I always kind of had this kind of sweet sort of thought about Sweden, and it's this really nice sort of very organised place and beautiful scenery and all this kind of stuff. And then I was working in London in 2017, and I'd never been on a plane before, and I was kind of thinking like, maybe it's about time. And, I was sort of getting a bit bored of living and working in the capital. It's a really busy place. It's the whole population of Sweden inside a city. It's a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
And, so I just booked the flight and found some work and went there. And it was great. But I really missed so I've got a dog. She's right here. And she comes to work with me all the time.
Okay.
So I went back to England, did my car license, and drove back and worked at Jackson's for a year. And that was great.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah.
But that seems like quite a radical switch. Like, what did you say? In 2017, you had never been on a plane before.
Yeah, 27 years old, never been on a plane.
So then you're like, I've never been on a plane, but let me just buy a ticket and I'll move to Sweden. That's quite a contrast,
Go there and work and further my skills and the rest of it. So I basically just emailed all these companies in, Oslo, Stavanger, Bergen, and Helsinki, and in Denmark and Germany, everywhere. And the first place that got back to me was a tree company in Stockholm on Kungsholmen.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where I went, and I just did a few months there, and it was wicked. So I came back,
Awesome, yeah.
Yeah.
But so if you were then to take this whole, kind of culture, or like the different perspectives you got on working in Sweden, UK, Australia, how would you say they compare to each other, the three different markets?
I've not done a massive amount of work in Australia or in Sweden. So, but what I will say is that in each of those countries, there's a very broad kind of, what do you say? Like the work that's carried out and the safety of what we're doing and the following of the rules, that is massively different in one company compared to another company. It's very, very, very different. And that's something that I think that lack of consistency in the industry is
Mm-hmm.
It needs fixing. Ultimately, it needs fixing because it's creating accidents, and people are sort of yeah. So
yeah.
I basically think it is very different, depending on where you are. Obviously, they don't have the standards in Australia that we do here in Europe. Britain has long been like a sort of stronghold for arboriculture, and that goes back a long time. There's
Mm-hmm.
a lot of British climbers around the world, that have started up their own thing, and so I think I think like basically in a nutshell, I think in Scandinavia, in my experience, I think safety and the quality of life for the worker in the workplace is like paramount. So that's super, super important.
Mm-hmm.
And I support that massively. And it's one of the things that I've realised that, hang on, like everywhere needs to be doing this. And that's something that we all need to try and sort of encourage and build up. So that other countries, like the UK where I'm from, like in Australia, that they're following the same sort of suit as the Scandies, because
Mm-hmm.
they're doing it the right way, in my opinion. But
Yeah. Okay. No, I see what you mean. That makes sense. That can be applied to a lot of different industries. Just that it makes it, easier to operate when the procedures and the standards are standardized across all of them, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's not just that. I think it's just like things like etiquette, and like sort of grassroots arborists. When you're, because there's very many different types of courses. You can do degrees, you can have a PhD, you can have like just licenses to operate machinery. So there's like a broad spectrum of arborists, and so there's a broad spectrum of wages, and there's a broad spectrum of work quality. And I think that's something that really should almost, I mean, obviously I don't really know enough about business to sort of understand, like, why we have competition and stuff like that. But, I think, I think the way that it's done in Sweden, I think is a very good way. I think it's, yeah, which is why.
Good to hear. But so you mentioned competitions there. So if we just bring it back to 2019, you were at the Red Bull branched out, right?
Yes, I was.
Tell us a little bit about that and how that was, how you ended up there, what it was like, all that.
Yeah, so I ended up there because my incredibly proud father bought me a ticket for the competition without me knowing. And I was actually a little bit kind of skeptical, because I don't really rate myself as a good climber. Quite modest and all the rest of it. So, but anyway, I decided to go along, and it turns out it was brilliant. It was just great fun. There was a load of people there that I hadn't seen for years that had moved back to Australia or New Zealand and that had turned up. Guys that I met in Sweden, so that was really cool. It was just, hanging out with, friends, like family, tree family, that was really cool. But yeah, like the competition itself, I was very surprised at how I performed. I was lucky enough to sort of get into the final tree on the Sunday.
Oh wow, okay.
Which was good. Yeah. It was great. And but actually, like one of the things that I'm quite into my photography, so I just bought a digital camera at the time. I've been using an old film camera for like 15 years, and I bought this digital camera, and I was just taking photos of everyone, like Anady and Jonas and Douglas and Victoria and like, just everyone. I was just taking photos, emailing people. I spent the whole way back to Melbourne, like 10-hour drive, just on my phone, sending emails to people, like giving them all these pictures and stuff. It was great. Yeah, no, it was wicked. It was wicked. So, yeah.
So that kind of, we'll get to that a bit later. So that kind of opened up to a greater extent, your whole photography hobby and all that, right?
Yeah.
So we might as well take that now then. So tell us a little bit more about, because you're obviously an avid photographer. You have a photography page on Instagram, which is some awesome work. So feel free to shout that out. But also tell us a little bit about that whole hobby, what it means, how it overlaps with the ARB industry and all that part. What do you like about it?
I'm a massive fan and avid sort of, fan of art, music, like art, sculpting, like all that kind of stuff. And I think the most important thing about art is the emotion that evokes when you see or hear or watch that film or that, picture. And I think, it's people know me to be quite a sort of sensitive guy, like, quite emotional sometimes. And, I kind of think that I basically just want to try and get like a feeling, like, into a picture. And I've been doing it for years, with these old cameras.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, when I got the new camera, it meant I can sort of show and exhibit or whatever my pictures to a larger group of people instead of having to spend 20 quid to get a film processed and printed, and then I'd write addresses down and send all these photos to all my mates around the world, so it's kind of, it just kind of started with that really. In terms of like arboricultural photography, I mean that started, I don't know if it counts with an iPhone, does it? Yeah, I think it does. I think it counts with an iPhone. But yeah, that started at Red Bull, and it just brought me so joy giving those photos to people and stuff. And I've since like done some photography for friends and bosses that I've worked for, and to try and sort of get a climber's perspective of the work that we're doing, because it's incredible work. Defying the laws of gravity to look after a tree. You know, it's like,
Yeah, for sure. And like it can be very interesting to get, because obviously when you're, you know, on the ground looking up, it's a completely different perspective from when you're actually up there doing the work, you know. Yeah.
yeah.
So that's very interesting to get that perspective from an arborist. But how would you say it's like connected you with the whole industry? Because you're mentioning that you've been sending it to mates all around the world. Would you say it's connected you to the whole industry in a
Yeah,
greater way?
yeah, I think that's safe to say that. Yeah, definitely. I think you know, because when I was at the competition, I'd just take photos of randomers, you know, locals, you know, that were there
Hmm.
feeding us and serving us drinks, and I'd send them the photos. And you know, like climbers that I'd never met before, all of a sudden they've got this, you know, and they're very grateful that I've taken a picture of them. I don't want any money for it. Have the photograph. It's of you climbing at, you know, the world's most gnarliest like tree climbing event. And you know, I would want that memory. I would want someone to take a photo of me. So I thought, yeah, just have them, you know. So,
That's awesome. Yeah.
but I would like to try a little bit more. I think, you know, like arboricultural photography. You know, like taking pictures of people's businesses for them and stuff. And
Hmm. Okay. Yeah.
yeah,
Why not? You obviously got the skills to do it, right? You kind of just need to get stuck in, I guess, right?
yeah. Mm.
Nice. Yeah, you can. I don't know if you see the comments, but we've had like 4 or 5 people say that you're taking great pictures.
Cheers.
So I'm not the only one saying it.
Yeah.
But so I can move on to the next kind of thing. And I know we talked about this earlier, and I know that you wanted to kind of touch on this because I guess I would say it's important for everyone to know and get this perspective. But you worked in a couple of different countries, and you know have these different experiences. Tell us a little about, give us some tips. Tell us a little about the risks and all that whole part.
I think like one of the things that I've been guilty of in my job and in my career is basically presuming that things will be fine and just, you know, not asking someone's second opinion. You know, not taking basic health and safety rules seriously. Like, you know, and I am guilty of not wearing a high vis, you know, but hearing protection, helmets, boots, trousers, like all this kind of stuff. You know, like I've worked in these countries and I've worked with every single type of arborist going, arborist. You know, that can be tree professional that's studied for years at college, or it could be someone that doesn't have any qualifications but has got a lot of work cutting stuff down. And
Mm-hmm.
you know, you get stuck in your ways and you get stubborn and stuff. And I think yeah, there needs to be a lot more respect for what we're doing, because life is, you know, it's treated so frivolously, and it's lost, you know. And friends of mine, you know, are sort of living with the ramifications of those decisions through injuries for the rest of their lives. You know, I've got several friends that have all, you know, sort of had nasty, but you know, whatever nasty escape.
Mm-hmm.
It's something that I think that actually we don't really talk about enough. You know, in
Yeah.
my experience, going around the world, and well, not around the world, but you know what I mean. People don't talk about accidents. They don't talk. It's like there's this taboo around it, and it's like this sensitive subject, and it really
Mm-hmm.
picks me up, because actually there's a lot to be learned from, you know, all of the unfortunate things that happen, and that it's
Mm-hmm.
normal. 9 times out of 10, it's a human error, which, you know, might suck, but that's the truth. That's how it is. But I think there's, like, you know, it's not just with the individual that's doing the work. It's also the management that's getting them there.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're like, I don't know, self-employed, and you just work for yourself and you're trying to make as much money as possible, you know, and you employ a couple of guys to come and drag branches for you, and you do all the climbing yourself, and it's just a small, you know, it's probably something that you're not really that interested in if you're quite young and
Mm-hmm.
starting
Yeah.
up. And that needs to change. That straight up just needs to change, because that's not right.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah.
But then, you know, in the larger companies where stuff kind of misses out, you know, like stuff gets missed, and you know, there's no sort of real urgency to sort of just make sure that these guys and girls that are going out doing this work day in, day out, that they're doing it safely, they're doing it legally.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah, for sure.
these are things that I think that need to be stepped up. You know, like there's no we had this thing in the UK called LOLA, which is lifting operations and lifting equipment regulations, and it's a weekly
Mm-hmm.
and monthly check of all of your
Oh,
climbing
okay.
where it's safe to use. They don't have that in Europe. They don't have it anywhere else in Europe. They don't have it in Australia. The trees are twice as big over in Australia. They're massive.
Yeah.
You know, and stuff gets abused because it's having a harder life, because everything's bigger, heavier, all the same kind of stuff, you know. So basic things like risk assessments don't have, you know, they don't get done. And, you know, it's like, you know, I've worked at places before where, you know, like someone had like, you know, a pretty minor injury, but they had to go to hospital and they had time off work. It was minor and they were fine. But, you know, there was no risk assessment filled out. So, you know, someone's like running into a van and quickly writing one out before, do you know what I mean? It's just...
Yeah, no, that's, yeah, for sure. Definitely. Yeah, I think that's a very, but like, I really I like all you said, but especially what you said in the beginning, that there's too much of a taboo of everything negative that happens. And that kind of applies to a lot of places. And I think it's great that you know, take this chance to speak out about that, because this will get seen by a couple of hundred people on Instagram and YouTube. You know, maybe we can start that whole conversation. You kind of start to remove that taboo. And I see that Douglas, you know, Douglas from British Arborist is commenting that as well. And I think that's a really good point.
That is such a brilliant app. You know, if anyone's watching this video now and doesn't have the Arborist app, just download it and start using it. It's absolutely fantastic. It's so user friendly. It's just brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. So just do it. I think there's you know, this kind of like alpha male thing or alpha female thing where people are like, okay, I'm the best climber here. You do what you're told and all the rest of it. And I think that's actually a weakness. I think strength in the individual that says, hey, look, I screwed up. I made a mistake, or, you know, and I think, you know, sometimes instead of, you know, like Trevor in Trees, Trev, you know, Ahern, you know, he's out in America, and he puts these videos up of him not getting it right. And I've got so much time for him because he does that. I think that's a really good thing. And I think more people, myself included, need to sort of let other people know that, you know, they're not always getting it right. But on Instagram, media, and on YouTube, all you're getting is when people nail it. And what you don't realize is they've probably got it wrong 10 times. You know, it's like, one video, it's a great video. It's this guy, and he's just bought a captain hook. Okay. And I love my captain hook. It's brilliant. And instead of like posting a video of him getting a first shot first time, he posted this compilation of all of the fails. And there's like hundreds of failed throwing attempts with this hook. Yeah. It's great. It's just, you know.
And you normally wouldn't see that because, you know, you kind of have this fear of putting your own, you know, not failures, but kind of your own weaknesses out there. You just want to put the good stuff out, right?
Vulnerability, putting yourself in a vulnerable situation takes a lot of guts and a lot of courage. And you're definitely a stronger individual if you're able to, sort of let yourself become vulnerable, so that you can sort of grow. And, you know, I think having that sort of humble sort of state of mind.
Sure. Yeah,
it's really
that's a great message for anyone. Yeah, I see a lot of people commenting that too, that, you know, about Arborist and everything you just said. So Douglas, we'll send you an invoice for the free promo here afterwards. But so kind of like on a bit of a different note, this is a question which we ask everyone, and obviously you've had a lot of experience in the industry. So what's your kind of funniest job story that you can share with the audience?
Well, I don't really know. I mean, I like to think that I'm not having a laugh all the time, you know, but I don't really. There was one time actually that kind of stands out a little bit. I was working in the snow in London. In the summertime, we'd use a steel, you know, petrol blower to obviously blow all the dust around. And I'd hide with the blower at the end of the job, and I'd be hiding with it in a bottle of water, and I'd pour the water in, and it just soaks my friends as they walk past on their way back to the truck. But I was doing it with the snow, and we had this big, like, you know, snow fight. It was hilarious. There was another time when we all decided to have like a sort of airsoft match in the yard, which is, you know, highly risky. And
okay.
But
was this while you were working, or was this afterwards?
No, after work. Yeah, after work. Everyone had down tools, but, you know, people brought in these little like BB guns, and I think there was a mate who had a smoke grenade and flashbang or something. You know. It was hilarious. Yeah, it was great. It was brilliant. I think to be honest, like I wish that at so many times in my life, like in doing the job, that there was a video camera on record just in the van on the way to the job.
Yeah.
Some of the best times I've ever had have just been sat in a van on the way to the job, and there's just this like banter going on, and everyone's just falling about the place, and yeah, it's just. Yeah, I might have to.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's kind of also what I really like about this whole industry. That, you know, in between all these jobs, there's so much. I don't know. You're using the British term banter. There's so much banter going on, you know, all the time between jobs. You know, when people are here,
Yeah.
all that. I think that's quite unique. You don't really see that in every industry.
No, that's true. That's true. Yeah, yeah, and there's it obviously depends on the individual. Like me myself, I'm quite gullible, and people know that I
Mhm.
am. So they'll like tell me a story which is just a complete fabrication. I'll be like, oh wow, really? And then they'll take it to another level, and then I realise I'm like, oh come on,
You've been fooled.
yeah.
But okay. So what's kind of like what's next for you? Like, do you have any fun projects? Any plans? Planning on staying in Sweden? Anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, I've just spent a bit of time back home, seeing some friends and family, doing a little bit of work, and getting my car sorted out, and getting my beautiful hound dog, Diesel. You're a good guy, aren't you? And yeah, obviously I'm headed back to Sweden. I'm probably gonna head out there for yeah, like definitely for the winter. And I'm not sure, maybe I'll spend the rest of my life there. I don't know. I,
Up to whatever happens, right?
I really wanna go and spend some time with Andy and Jonas again. It was really
Mhm.
nice to have them sort of come and stay at my place in Melbourne. That was really cool. So I'd love to get over to India and sort of spend some time with them. And I'm quite keen to get out to British Columbia.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
so
You know,
yeah,
I actually lived in British Columbia for a year
did you?
in Vancouver. Yeah, it's quite a random fact, but it's a really lovely place. Where specifically?
Vancouver Island, because that's where the surf is, pretty much. That's
Oh, okay. Oh, you're a surfer.
I'm a newbie, but yeah, I love it.
Okay, yeah.
Super hooked on it. Yeah,
I'm not sure what the tree care industry is like, or the arborist industry is like in British Columbia. Is it the same?
it's pretty good. Yeah,
Yeah,
there's
it
a
is. Yeah,
lot of work. Yeah, there's a lot of work. Yeah,
yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, they've got a lot of big trees there as well.
they do. They do. Actually, like it's very sad, but obviously that there was a death that happened a couple of days ago.
Hmm.
Young
I'm
guy,
sorry to hear that.
Eddie Mather. Yeah, was working for a friend of mine in BC, and yeah, obviously just like sort of thoughts with him and his family at the moment. There's actually a page that you can sort of donate money on to help his family get him back to Australia, which is where he's from.
Hmm.
Um,
Okay.
yeah, if anyone's sort of interested in that, which I think you should be, yeah, if you go onto recoil.com's Instagram page, there's a link on his bio.
Okay. Yeah. Perfect.
Chuck a tenner in there. Yeah. But it's like, and I don't know, like talking about BC and talking about Eddie and stuff, and like I think it's coming back to the whole safety thing and this like whole taboo thing. I think it just needs to change. I think that employers who are employing subcontractors, or employers that have employed guys, they need to be drilling it into them every single day. Make sure that everything's safe. People that are coming into the industry need to be like super respectful of anyone that's
Hmm.
like trying to teach them something, or and they need to. I don't know. I mean, how much drilling in can you do for young
Yeah,
inexperienced people?
for
But
sure. I think
some
I think it was Derek who said that. Derek from a Norwegian tree company. We had him for En mot tre. We had him on like
yeah,
3 weeks ago. You know him, yeah. He said, well, he had some great quote. It was like humbleness in motion or something like that, which is kind of like you approach things like you say. You come into the arborist industry and you're humble, you're eager to learn, and you don't want to just impose your views or standards on everyone else in that way.
hmm. Yeah, yeah, I know what you
And I
mean.
guess that's related to what we're talking about.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely is. I think it's an inherently dangerous job. Doesn't matter which way you butter it up, it's dangerous, and
Yeah, for
there's
sure.
a
Yeah.
lot of people out there that aren't wearing protective gear. Like when I was working in Australia, I worked for companies where people didn't even have any boots, chainsaw trousers,
Mm.
or helmets on, and they definitely, sort of don't know how to handle stuff properly, and that shouldn't be happening. You know, these are professional companies which are paying tax and employing people, and they're not providing them with safety equipment. It's just not on. It's just not on. You know, it's and it needs to change. It's just it's 2021, nearly. There we go.
Yeah, almost.
It's almost 2021. It's time to change. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah.
Sort it out.
Sort it out. Get your stuff together. I don't know if I can swear on here, but yeah, get your stuff together.
Get your stuff together.
So, kind of speaking about all this stuff, we have, like we're talking about, there's the whole mindset part, but like you say, there's also the whole PPE and the equipment part of it. So, speaking of equipment, this is our standard question, by the way. What is your favorite piece of gear of all time and why? Difficult one.
It is difficult, actually, yeah, because I'm really attached to my gear. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm so attached to it. You know, I mean, I could say, like, oh, yeah, some fancy climbing device, but I think, to be honest, it's probably something just like my figure of 8 descender, you know?
Yeah.
My figure of 8, I use it for everything. Rescues, redirects, bailing out of trees. I've just seen Andy's comment on the keeper.
Yeah.
Yeah, some people might know that I didn't really get on with it after getting it from a friend of mine, and I took it off my belt quite quickly.
Okay.
There's a volume 2, I think, in the pipeline, which is good because it needs something to basically hold it together. Anyway, we're digressing.
Yeah. Okay. So you're very attached to your gear.
Yeah.
Just like. And when you're working, you're quite literally attached to your gear most of the time as well, right?
Oh, yeah. I've never thought about
it. Yeah. Exactly.
But yeah, so I reckon it's my figure of 8. My figure of 8.
Okay. That's probably the first time we've had that specific piece of gear on the TreeTopChat 24 episodes in. So yeah, well done for being unique.
Happy days.
But okay. So, do we have any questions from the audience or anyone watching? If you're wondering anything in particular,
questions.
If we have any, it usually takes like a minute or something for them to come in. But what was this comment about the keeper? Tell us what another means with that.
So it's actually a great device. It's lanyard storage, So you don't have your lanyard just getting caught and like getting tangled up and stuff. So it's a great device, and I think there's definitely a place for it. But the one that I had, it basically the top part kept coming off, and then you end up with this it's like the worst tangled mess that you've ever had on your on your belt. So I got a bit annoyed with it, and I might have had a story about it and my sort of ill thoughts about said product. Here we go. Here's a couple of questions. So when I'm next at the store, probably when I get paid next.
Nice. Yeah, good answer.
Yeah. When have I been climbing SRT?
SRT. Yeah.
So that was about 3 years ago, 3 or 4 years ago. I can't really remember. I used to footlock on a doubled line with a long prusik.
Okay.
And I'd have my hitch climber on the ground, and then my groundie would pull it up to me in the tree once I got up into the tree. And then a friend of mine got me into SRT, and he gave me this sort of diagram, and it was basically just a piece of wood with 2 holes on it, and you put it through your rope, and you don't really need it for going up, but when you go down, it just bends the rope. So I just had this piece of wood attached to my hitch climber, and then I forked out and bought the rope wrench. And now I've been climbing on most of the SRT devices going, and I love it. So I use it every day. Yeah.
Perfect. Then we have another question from Arborist Douglas. Runner or bone?
Honestly, they're so great. Honestly, I love the bulldog bone, because it's like motorcycle chain. It's made from steel, real heavy. It's a quality item. I love it. I really love the Bulldog bone. But the new Rope Runner, it is pretty fantastic. It is.
Yeah.
The Bulldog bone, it's so compact and it's so easy to get on and off your rope. It's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. The Rope Runner is better than it was, the new one. And it's just really smooth. It's really smooth, you know. But none of them have got a CE mark yet. So, you know, in Europe, shouldn't really.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I still got my Rope Runner.
Okay, yeah.
So, you know, just.
But that's a good input for when they become CE marked. Then.
Exactly. Yeah.
Can watch.
Going to get CE marked soon.
Yeah, for sure. Another one from Anali. A lot of questions here. What's the biggest tree you climbed, bro? He also added bro there at the end, just to, you know, make it more personal. Love that.
Brother from another mother. It would have been. It was a dead. I think it was a dead. Well, no, it was definitely dead. It was a dead mountain ash, a Eucalyptus regnans, in Sassafras, Victoria, in the Sherbrooke Forest and Dandenong Ranges. I reckon it was probably like, you know, 70, 80 meters tall. Yeah.
Oh, jeez. Okay.
Big, very big. Yeah.
Quite a big tree then.
Yeah. So.
Nice. Okay, we'll take the last question then. Sorry, go on. I interrupted you.
Oh no, that's it. I've finished. Yeah.
No, I just saw we got another question here from Douglas. We'll take this as the last one. Battery or petrol? I assume he's speaking about cars. No, I'm joking. He's speaking about chainsaws, right?
I think that we should have been using battery saws 20 years ago, and battery cars and battery everything. Okay, like I don't know if anyone's watched the David Attenborough's most recent documentary, which is on Netflix. It's absolutely amazing. I urge you to watch it. It's called A Life on Our Planet. It's incredible. So yeah, I think we should have been like going down the electric route a long time ago. However, I think if you are going to buy battery stuff, it has to be Husqvarna. It just has to be Husqvarna. Their battery products are absolutely incredible. I have, you know, like we were talking about attachment earlier. I've got this attachment to my, like I'm never going to get rid of it. It's the best saw in the world. I love it. I love how it sounds. I love how it feels. I love the smell. It's just, it's all good. Love it.
Okay, nice, great input. Well, we'll see if maybe there's a Tesla saw one day. You never know, you know.
Drums or bass. Favorite tree to climb is probably a Salix caprea, which I think is a goat willow. Real strong wood. Drums or bass. Drums or bass. Is that bass like fish? Maybe. I have no clue.
I think he's referring to the instrument, right?
Oh right, yeah. Then drums. But I do like sea bass. It's very nice. Good fish.
Yeah, I was a bit confused there too. I was thinking maybe drums is doesn't kind of fish. Who knows?
No, I love the drum. No, I love the bass. Oh, I don't know. I can't answer that question.
Oh, so you play music too? Then you said you like art.
Yes, I do. Yeah, I've been known to hit some drum skins once in a while. Yeah, I like to. I really want to be playing it more often, really. So,
nice. Okay.
Life gets in the way.
You'll have to share that a bit more on Instagram too, then.
Yeah.
Your music. But okay, it is 6:15 on a Friday evening, so I think we'll call it a day there. We've been going for around 45 minutes.
Yeah, it's time to go now. It's Friday.
For sure, yeah. So thank you everyone for watching. Everyone who tuned in to watch, we really appreciate, you know, tuning into the Treetop Chat every Friday. It's a good little opportunity to kind of bring the ARB industry together. And John, thank you so much for, oh, you got the dog there too, representing. Thank you so much for joining, John. It was great to get your perspective on, you know, the industry and all of your experiences and all that. So thank you so much for joining.
It was a pleasure. Thank you for having me on. And, you know, like if anyone is going to, you know, just, you know, stop, you know, sort of stepping up to the table and opening up what they're doing wrong and, you know, coming clean. And, you know, I just think we'll start talking about, you know, safety, because I think more more of us need to be sort of, you know, on the ball and stuff. There's too many people having injuries and too many people losing their lives. And it's just, you know, it's just stop. It needs to stop. So,
yeah.
Cool. All right,
that's
thanks a lot. Have a great Friday.
ending note. Thank you so much for that. Have a great weekend, everyone. Take care, and we'll see you next Friday.